Hello everyone. So in this video, we will focus on the third subtopic 2.3 technique of integration. Okay, so we will use the technique of integration when it comes to multiplication or division of two different functions that cannot be simplified. So we have a we have a specific situation when we have to use this technique. Okay. Other than that, you just have to use the straightaway basic rule of integration. Okay. Altogether, we have three main methods, but for this video, we will only focus on the first method, which is integrate by substitution. Okay. So for integrate by substitution, we have 5 main steps that you have to follow or you have to provide in your solution. Okay. So because we cannot straight away integrate the function, so we have to do a modification of this function. That's why our first step would be choose. We have to choose something into our function as other function. So normally we use a variable of u. So we choose u. And then second step, we have to find u, which by the way, you only have to differentiate the function. And then substitute everything in terms of u. That will be our third step. And then fourth step would be integrate our new function with respect to u. And last step, you have to replace back your original equation into our final answer. Okay, moving on to our example. So example 10, we have to use suitable substitution to evaluate the following. So now we have to integrate 2x times with 1 plus x squared to the power of 5. So if we analyze this function, it's clearly there that now we have two different functions. First one is 2x, and then we multiply with 1 plus x squared to the power of 5. Okay, obviously, you cannot simplify this function. Yes, you can, but then it's very complicated. We have to the power of 5. So it's impossible for you to expand this 5 times. Okay, so in order to integrate this, we have to modify something so that the function will be in a simpler version. Okay, so move on with our step. So remember, our first step is C. C in this case stand for choose. So what we have to choose here, we let one of the function to be our u. Most of the time, we will choose the more complicated version. So between 2x and 1 plus x squared, 1 plus x squared is more complicated because we have it to the power of 5. But for our u, you don't have to take the power outside of the bracket. So u is only 1 plus x squared. Okay. And then moving on to our second step, D. D in this case stand for differentiate. Okay. So basically, you just have to differentiate your u. So differentiate u, it will become du. And differentiate 1 plus x squared, this would be 2x dx. Okay. And then moving on to our third step, S. S stands for substitute. So since we already have our u and du, so now we have to change our question into u term. So I have to copy back my original equation. So for the first column, we choose function that we let as u. But now we have to take the power altogether. So we have 1 plus x squared to the power of 5 here. And for second column is the remaining function. So we have now 2x dx. And we can now substitute our function in terms of u. So 1 plus x squared, just now we let as u. Since we have to the power of 5 now, it will be u to the power of 5. And then 2x dx is exactly same as our du. So we can now rearrange back our question as integral of u to the power of 5 du. And moving on to our fourth step, I stand for integrate. Means now we can integrate our U equation. If at this step, you still cannot integrate the function, means you already choose the wrong U, or you differentiate du wrongly, or you already choose the wrong method. So kalau maksudnya kat situ awak tak boleh juga nak integrate U term tu, ada 3 sebab lah. Satu, awak dah tersalah pilih U. Yang kedua, awak tersalah differentiate awak punya U tadi. So du awak tu dah salah. Ataupun option ketiga, maksudnya soalan ni tak boleh solve guna method ni. Okay. So kalau tak boleh solve guna method ni, maksudnya kita kena guna method lain lah. Okay. So I continue. Integrate this, we're gonna get u to the power of 6 over 6 plus t. And last step, R stand for replace. Means we have to replace back u as our original equation just now. So final answer, this would be 1 plus x squared to the power of 6 over 6 plus t. And that would be our final answer. Okay, so it's a very simple step, very basic step. It's just that our main important part would be on our first step. You have to choose the correct U. Okay, let's try again with the second example. Now we have to integrate 2x plus 1 times with exponent to the power of x squared plus x dx. Okay, so once again, if we analyze this function, 1 is 2x plus 1, another one will be exponent. It's multiplication of two different functions that is impossible to simplify. Okay, so in this case, you know you have to use a technique of integration. Okay, so let's start with our first step. Just now, C means we have to choose our U. So I let U. Okay, so between 2x plus 1 and exponent itself, it's obvious exponent is more complicated. But for exponent itself, you just have to take the power as your U. So in this case, this would be x squared plus x. Okay. And then moving on to our second step, we have to differentiate our U. So du in this case would be 2x plus 1 dx. It's very easy. Okay. And then moving on to our third step means we have to substitute here. Okay, you have to make a table consists of 2 columns. So for the first column, choose function that you let as U all together. So now since now we have exponent, so I have to choose exponent x squared plus x as my first function. And then for the second column, the remaining one, so we left with 2x plus 1 dx. Okay, so change this. Now we're going to get exponent to the power of U. And for second column, 2x plus 1 dx is exactly our du. Okay, moving on to the fourth step. Oh, sorry. Before integrate the function, now you can rewrite your function in terms of U. So we have now to integrate exponent to the power of U du. Okay, now we may integrate the function. So exponent to the power of U plus C. And then last step, when it comes to replace back, always replace back your final answer. So final answer will be exponent to the power of x squared plus x plus C. Okay, let's try another one. So for C, we have to integrate exponent to the power of t over surd of 1 plus exponent to the power of t dt. Okay, so for integral of any function, it's not necessarily x variable. Dia boleh guna apa-apa variable je. Okay, kat sini dia guna t. Jangan terkejut, sama je. Okay, so kita write down dulu our 5 main step. So C, D, S, I, R. Okay. So moving on with our first step, we have to let our U. Okay. So between numerator and denominator, it's obvious denominator part is more complicated. Okay. But remember, if we have any function inside a bracket, we just have to choose that function itself. Ignore the power. Ini macam example A tadi. Kalau ada function tu yang awak rasa complicated, duduk dalam kurungan, kita ambil yang dalam kurungan sahaja. Kuasa dia tak payah ambil. Kenapa tak payah? Sebab nanti lagi complicated untuk awak differentiate. Dia akan effect dekat second step. Okay, so our u now is 1 plus exponent to the power of t. So du now will be exponent to the power of t dt. Okay, nampak tak kat situ dia senang nak differentiate, nak cari du. Kalau tadi awak tak pilih, awak ambil dengan kuasa sekali, nak cari du tu dah jadi complicated. Okay, and then moving on to our third step. So in order to substitute, remember construct a table first. So easy for you to distinguish between those functions. Okay, so we choose 1 over 1 plus et. Position kita tak boleh ubah. Tadi yang kita let you tu siapa? Yang bahagian bawah. So just stay dekat bawah. Jangan tukar dia tiba-tiba jadi cert sahaja. So kalau awak terus tukar jadi cert sahaja, tak ada 1 over cert, function awak dah salah. Awak dah ubah soalan tu. Okay, so kita akan dapat kat sini, the remaining one will be exponent to the power of t dt. Okay, so for first column, this now will be 1 over set u. And then for second column, it's exactly the same as du. Okay, and now we may start integrate the function 1 over set u. Saya munculkan kuasa sebenar, this is actually u to the power of negative half du. And we may start integrate the function straight away. This is u to the power of half over half plus c. And then I simplify and replace back the function. This would be now 2/3 of 1 plus exponent to the power of t plus c. Okay, very easy step once you understand the condition. Okay, moving on to the last one. So now we have cos to theta multiply with sin to theta plus 3 cube. Okay, so it's multiplication between two trigo function. Nampak trigo selalu awak macam gelabah kan? Tapi jangan risau, step dia still sama. Obvious that it's multiplication of two different function. You cannot simplify. Kalau awak buka kurungan kuasa 3 tu, awak pingsan. Okay, so ingat kita ada 5 main step. So I wrote down that first, CDSIR. Okay, so for our first step, what do? We choose function yang lebih complicated. Ingat, nampak dalam kurungan, kuasa jangan ambil. So our u in this case would be sin 2 theta plus 3. So our du would be differentiate sin 2 theta. Remember, when it comes to differentiate trigo function, you have to differentiate the angle and the trigo function. That's how we get 2 cos 2 theta d theta. Okay. And then now we may start construct the table. So for our first column, jangan tinggalkan kuasa pula kat sini. So dia jadi sin 2 theta plus 3 cube. And then the remaining one for the second column. So we left with cos 2 theta d theta. Okay. Now we have to change this into u term. So for the first column, it will be u cube. And for second column, careful, we only want cos 2 theta d theta. But from our du just now, we have extra 2 here. So you have to bring it to the front. That's how for cos 2 theta d theta, now we will get half du. So our new question in terms of u now will be half u cube du. So we may integrate this function now. Half is just a constant, stay outside of your integral function. So we get u to the power of 4 over 4 plus c. And then replace that with x term. Finally, our final answer will be 1 over 8. U is sin 2 theta plus 3 to the power of 4 plus c. Okay. Hope you understand. So that is for integration by substitution.